You know, I never wanted to start a video like this, but we're gonna have to start on a bit of a low note today, and I apologise about that. But I have made a really big mistake, and I can only apologise. It's all my fault, and I hope that we can move past this, but I'm just gonna have to sort of get this out of the way at the start of this video, and it's not something that I wanted to ever really do. I never thought I'd be making an apology video on YouTube. But I have not taught enough mentalism on my YouTube channel. So today, we're going to change that. I'm going to be diving right in the deep end and teaching you a devastating piece of mentalism today, just to make up for my mistakes. So without further ado, this is the Cyber Read. In Cyber Read, the effect is this. You take an ordinary pen and some blank business cards and you hand them both to the spectator to write whatever they want. It can be a passcode, a PIN code, the name of their first crush, anything at all, and they write it down, take that business card and fold it up and put it in their pocket or wherever, just completely out of view from you, and this is all done hands off. It really is as clean as that. Without ever looking at what they wrote down, you are able to tell them exactly what is written on the card. You can present this as actual mind reading, or you can present this as body language reading, or whatever presentation suits you most. I guarantee after watching this whole video, you are going to perform this effect, and it might be the first step you take towards performing mentalism, because it really is that satisfying to perform. It feels like you don't have any props. The only props are these, and you put them away as soon as they write the information down. The rest is complete presentation, and that is what is so amazing about this trick. But it is also what makes this quite difficult to teach, because I don't want to just tell you how to present this trick, because that's up to you. So you can use whatever presentation you want. If you want, you can pretend that this is actual mind reading, which obviously it's not, or you can pretend that it's body language reading or anything like that. So I don't want to give you too many ideas to present this, because this should be yours. Make this trick your own, do something different and be unique. Have a twist that no one else has when they do this trick. That is not something I can teach. That is not something I am able to give, because it should be you. You should take this trick, take the baton and run with it, to use that analogy. Really just take the essential method of what this trick is, and then add layers onto it that just make it yours and make it so good. The layers I've added to this trick to make it mine, I'm not going to teach in this video. I'm not going to tell you how exactly I would perform this, because that's my way of doing it, and equally, I don't want to tell you how you should do it. Whenever I do these tutorials, I always find it really tempting to hype the trick up and make it seem better than it actually is, and I think that's something a lot of people can relate to. Magic product trailers do it all the time. You know, it's a classic marketing thing, especially in the magic world, to just essentially lie about what the trick is. And it happens a lot in magic trailers because people are buying into a product. And in order to buy into a product, you really need to believe that it is fantastic. And often magic people, you know, take that one step too far and just blatantly lie in the trailer. And I think magicians feel they can get away with that more, because magic is inherently deceptive. You're lying to your audience anyway. I just wish that in the magic community and in the sort of market of magic, they would lie less and actually be honest to the magicians, and even say how the trick is done sometimes, and then you have to buy the thing to be able to do it right. Today though, I don't need to hype up this trick, because you've already bought into it, and what I explained is literally what it is. It is as clean as that. It just requires you to be able to do it. So all you need are some blank business cards. Now, I keep them in my wallet pretty much all the time. I would say that keeping these blank business cards in your wallet is a really good idea, because it makes this so impromptu. If at any point anyone says, you know, can I see a trick? I know you're a magician, can I see a trick? Instead of saying, oh no, I don't really have anything on me, just keep some of these in your wallet and you will never have that situation. So often I do keep some of these in my wallet anyway, and you will need more than one for the trick to work. So just have a little stack. You know, this is about 10 or 15, just keep those in your wallet at all times. So whenever anyone says, you know, can I see a trick? You take these out and that is all you need. You do not need anything else, except a pen, but it does not have to be a special pen, is what I mean. So all you need is a pen nearby, and you know, pens are everywhere. So it doesn't need to be a special gaffed or gimmicked pen or anything like that. It is just, you take a pen, you take these, and you perform this miracle. However, there is a bit of setup, and the setup is so easy. I feel bad even calling it setup because it doesn't feel like setup. And for that, you're going to need a pencil. Why did I come up with this trick though? That is the question. I originally came up with this trick after being slightly infuriated that in order to do impromptu mentalism, you needed a special wallet. That was something that really annoyed me. As soon as I wanted to sort of transition over to mentalism, a couple of years ago really, I've been wanting to do it for ages, I really wanted to look into a proper wallet that I could use for mentalism, you know, a magic wallet that I could actually use as my everyday wallet, and none of them were any good. None of them could actually be used as my wallet. They were either too small, too sort of minimal and slim and weird. I soon realised that actually you don't need a mentalist wallet to perform mentalism. I think that is one of the biggest sort of lies in marketing when it comes to mind reading effects. You know, the whole, oh, this can be used as your everyday wallet, and it's also a trick in itself. I think you can do just fine with a normal wallet and put magic in it. You don't need a special wallet. And this is one of those tricks that really is without that, and it's so minimal. So when I came up with this trick, that was the first thing that I needed to sort of tick the box of. It was like a checklist of things I needed to do when creating this trick, and the first one was no wallet use at all. You cannot use a special wallet. And that's why this is great to teach on YouTube, because you don't need to buy anything else. You don't need to buy a special wallet at all. The second thing I've already covered is no gimmicked or gaffed pen, and that is completely true. You can just use any pen that is handy. No weird or unusual peaks, by which I mean the thing they write on really is taken out of the picture. So that was something I was really set on. I didn't want a situation where they write it down, fold it up, and then you tear it or anything like that. Is so cringy, by the way. The center tear. Ugh. Unless you're doing it in a really well justified way, there is no reason for them to write something down and you immediately tear it up. So they write it down and they put it in their pocket, and that is just to show everyone later. Write it down so everyone else knows what you were thinking of. I'm just gonna get it anyway, but you need to write it down to let them know I was right. So that's the justification. It's very, very simple. I think one of the most powerful things about this effect is that they can keep the thing they wrote on afterwards. And all of these are examinable afterwards, the pen is examinable, all of that. So it really is clean, and that's one of the things I love when creating magic, is how clean and how fair can I get this? I don't want any tricky business. I think that's one of the things I hate about magic, is just how much tricky business there really is, of things not being able to be examined or decks not being able to be shuffled, all of that sort of stuff. I don't want to perform magic if it's like that. So the method of the trick requires one card to be gimmicked in advance, and for this you're going to need that pencil I spoke about, and this is what you're going to do. You're going to take the pencil and draw over the card. I like to use the edge of the pencil like this, just so that it gets an even covering, and also if you use the tip, I think it's far too narrow and harsh, and also the lead might break. Don't really know why it's called lead, because that's not lead in the middle of a pencil, is it? The graphite? Is that graphite in the middle of a pencil? I think it is. So you just give it an even covering like so, and it's the middle you really want to focus on, so you just do that, try and get some of the edge, and just a couple of coats, so that you have this grey patch in the middle of the card. And that is going to be crucial in the trick. So if you just take your finger and do that, you will notice tiny little smudges. Probably won't even come up on camera, but tiny little smudges. So you have the stack of business cards like this. You want this to be face down like so, and with one more card on top. And this card on top is the one that they're going to write on. So I will do a quick demonstration for you now. Let's say I write 007, just because I watched the No Time to Die trailer earlier and I'm quite excited for it. So 007. So they write their number or whatever it is, they fold this up and take this away. They take that out of the picture, and this is the genius part of it, because if we lift this up, you will now notice that on this card underneath, can you see that? 007 right there, because of this. So it's essentially made an impression from this grey patch to this patch right here. Without this card ever being looked at by you, you are able to tell what was written on it because this one has made an impression on there. So it's essentially a sort of impromptu impression device with just a pencil and these blank business cards, which if you don't own, then definitely get, because loads of tricks use them and they're great. So there we go. That is essentially the basic method. A lot of people will now stop watching because they know how the trick's done. That's completely incorrect. Knowing how a trick is done is not being able to do it. So to those people, well done. You're now going to perform the trick incorrectly. To everyone else that wants to do this correctly, here we go. Once again, the setup is so easy. You've got your blank stack, your impression one goes on top, and then one more goes on top of that. That is something that I've actually forgotten in the past, and it's not the end of the world, because all it means is the impression will still be made, but then they'll be left with a card with loads of pencil on the back, and it's hard to explain why that's there. So this is a completely clean one that goes on top. If you forget it, not the end of the world. I've done it before, and yeah, the trick still works, but it's just not as good. So if you're out and about and someone asks to see a trick, you can get this out of your wallet, or if you're at a magic gig, you can just have this prepared already. And the great thing is that the grey patch here won't actually sort of rub away. It sort of gets protected between the layers, and you won't really find that much pencil dust, I'm going to call it, ends up on the card that you're going to read, which we'll call the cyber card, which is the third one down. We'll call that the cyber card. It's only really when pressure from a pen is applied to the top card that the pencil dust will actually travel from the impression card to the cyber card. So that's the only thing you need to worry about, is don't accidentally apply pressure to the top. I'm not really sure how you would, but if I was to squeeze really hard down on this, then the dust would go across and it would be harder to read what they write from the cyber card. So that's the only thing to look out for. Don't have elastic bands really tightly around this, because again, that might cause the dust to go from one to the other. That's all you need to worry about in terms of looking after this. In order to perform it, make sure you get it the right way round. Now, in order to do this, just a quick line on the back will tell you that that's the wrong side. So don't hand it to them like that. And the reason it's just a line is because it looks like just an accidental bit of pen. You know, it's not like a cross or anything like that. It just looks like an accidental bit of pen. So when you hand it to them, don't hand them face up like that. Just hand them like this. Just give it to them like that and just say, write on that top card, you know, whatever you want, and make sure I don't see. So that if, for whatever reason, you did get it the wrong way around, you could go, oh, turn it over, use a clean one. So if they're faced with that, you just say, turn it over. And, you know, it gives you an excuse. They then write whatever they want, and let's do it so that you don't see what it is, and then I'll give you a test to see if you can tell what the reading is. So let's do that. I've written something on the top card. I'm going to fold it up and put it in my pocket, which is what a spectator might do. Now, you take this back as the performer. You take this whole stack as it is, just back from them. And again, this line will help you because that'll still be on the bottom. So if you got it the wrong way around, you don't need to worry about missing the readings at all. And it's very simple. All you do is you just take this top card and you put it to the bottom. Now, some of you might be thinking, oh, there's a sleight of hand way of doing that. There's a really clever method called the clip shift pass 2.0, which I like to use, which gets a card from the top to the bottom. Just don't. There is no need for sleight of hand at this point. The more sleights you add into this trick of all tricks, just overcomplicates it. There's no need for sleight of hand. You just take a card and you just put it to the bottom. No one's going to think that that's weird. Just don't overthink it, it's fine. So, you are now left with this on top, and you need to be careful at this point without flashing these. Which is fine. You know, you don't really ever need to show the bottom of this, so if you have it in your hand like so, it's going to be a matter of seconds before this whole stack goes away in your pocket you don't need to worry about flashing this so long as it's just in your hand. And at this point, I can clearly see what it is, but obviously I've written it so I know, so I'm going to give it to you and see if you can tell what it is. Maybe on camera this won't work, I don't know, but in person it's plain as day to me. But the interesting thing is, if you're not looking out for it, from a distance, that is a blank piece of paper. You know, I have even given this to other people. Once I've read it, I will sometimes hand it to another spectator. Just hold on to those for me. And then I'll go into the mind reading bit, which is all presentation. And even when they're holding it, you know, they might look at it and they wouldn't see it because they're not looking out for it. So it's the right amount of faint and bold. It's bold enough for you to see it and faint enough so that they won't see it because they're not looking out for it. It's the perfect middle ground. So the answer, by the way, is 146. The number 146 might not show up on camera, but that is it. And as soon as you've read it, as soon as you've taken it back, one card to the bottom, you look at the cyber card, you just put it down. And the worst thing to do at this point, the worst thing is this. I'm exaggerating obviously, but don't stare at this. It should just be, you take it back, one card to the bottom without looking, you just glance down and you just put it there. Almost, you know, like you would if you put something in your pocket, you just look at it and put it in your pocket. Just, you know, like normal people do. You're empty-handed, the props are away, everything is away, you have nothing now, other than your words and their mind, and that is a great moment where you can just start to play around with presentation and get this trick. So there we go. That is essentially the basic method of cyber read. There's a couple of things I want to go over. Again, little nuances, and I tend to save these for the end of the video so that people who watch the whole video get the whole trick. So let's move on to the little nuances, shall we? The first nuance is so important, and it's to do with your wording during the trick. Because one of the worst things you can do is refer to the thing that's written down. You don't want this to be a trick where you know what's written on the card. You want this to be a trick where you know what they're thinking of. The writing down is just a secondary thing so that everyone else knows what they were thinking of. It isn't the trick. This is not the trick, knowing what was written down. The trick is knowing what they're thinking of, and that makes it so much more powerful because it becomes a trick about their mind, not the props. So don't ever, in your wording, for me, this is just for me, don't ever refer to the piece of paper with the thing written on it, because then it's just a physical trick. You want this to appear to be a mental trick. It's a mentalism trick. So don't talk about, I will know what's written on the piece of paper. Talk about the thoughts of them. So that's the first little nuance that I think is really helpful for the trick. The next tip I have for you is about the card on the bottom. If you want to hand these out for examination, my advice would be that if you desperately want to do that, get rid of this card because that is evidence of what has happened. My advice would not be to get rid of this one because that's the cyber card, by the way. You might not even be able to tell on camera because these can be reused with just a little sort of wipe. These can be reused. This looks now like a blank card, even though before it had the dusty version of 146. These can be reused, so you don't need to worry about those. You know, these can end up being the cards that other spectators hand out, you know, when you do this to other people. So you don't need to worry about throwing these away. You can reuse them, that's fine. You've got to worry about the environment as well. So don't be wasting paper throwing away these. They're perfectly okay to be reused. If you want to get rid of this, you can simply you know, cop it away. You can do that if you want. However, my advice, as I've performed this more and more, is to not hand them out. And here's why. I think handing them out shows that there's something wrong with it. It's like a double negative. It's like, don't look at this, well, people want to look at it. So as soon as you draw attention to the fact that they're normal, people weren't thinking about it before. They weren't thinking that those weren't normal. So now you're saying, look, it's completely normal. People are going, why is he saying that? Yeah, we thought that, but now I'm suspicious. Now I think there's something wrong with it. As soon as they're away and you're doing the mentalism bit, the mind reading bit, whatever, they should stay away, in my opinion. I think they should just stay in your pocket, as if they were never part of the trick, which some people will think they weren't. Because, you know, they might just think that you wrote it on a piece of paper and that's it, that there weren't any other pieces of paper. That's my advice for the trick. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I certainly really enjoyed teaching this. This is a powerful trick, and I am glad to be sharing this with YouTube because you know, this will do some people really well, and I'm really glad that some people will now add this to their repertoire. If you enjoyed this tutorial, then you would absolutely love Plethora, which is my new magic book currently on pre-order. It is more than 200 pages long. There is so much magic in this. It is insane. There's a lot of mentalism. There's a whole section on mentalism, including PS, which is 30 mentalism techniques that work together in a system. Most of it is propless, completely propless, you know, literally using absolutely nothing at all. And then there's a load of other mentalism effects, like how to win at rock, paper, scissors, how to unlock borrowed phones, how to literally just read people's star signs, tell them their name without ever asking it. There's so much cool mentalism in that book. Plus, there's card techniques, you know, sleight of hand, all of the other stuff as well. It's a massive project, and it's only £25. So if you want to go and pick that up, the link is in the description. Make sure to click the thumbs up button down below if you enjoyed this video, and subscribe to the channel if you are new. I am making videos every other day throughout December, so if you don't want to miss any of those, the way to not miss any of those is by subscribing and joining me on my video making journey throughout 2020, which is fast approaching, which is very, very scary. Yeah, so there we go. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video.
I think you're gonna have to be gentle. We're gonna have to go very slow.